right, greetings from Las Vegas. Hopefully, everyone is great. I believe it is Friday, and we've got certainly breaking news as Woj reported that Jalen Brunson, who was eligible to sign an extension as of today, July 12th, has agreed to a 4-year, $156.5 million extension. There's a player option in the fourth year. It's significant. It's significant in a lot of different manners. Brunson was eligible to sign the extension. It's 140% off his $24.9 million salary for this year. He's got a player option for next year. The player option goes away. His contract now gets boosted up by, I'm just looking at the numbers here, goes up 140%. So when you're looking at it, next year is at $34.9 million. Total value 156.5. There's a player option, as I said, in that last year. Here's why it's significant. And, you know, we talk about money a lot, and I do get sometimes weird by talking about other players' money. What Brunson did, and I think we're going to see it a lot under this collective bargaining agreement, for the sake of team building, players are going to, especially high level, max level, are going to, and players can do whatever they want. I'm not going to tell what Joel Embiid should do or Kevin Durant or anything, but for the sake of team building and for roster building, instead of eating 8 slices of pizza, you're going to get 5 slices of pizza, and you're still going to be full here. And why I say this with Brunson, he could have played out this year. He would have become a free agent next year, and he would have been eligible to sign a 5-year, $269 million max extension. He's not Supermax eligible. Remember, he signed with New York. That goes out the window once a player signs with a team, unless you're traded, certainly within that first 4 years. But he was eligible to basically sign for 35% of the salary cap in 2025-26. That would have given them a $46.3 million cap hit. And where we're going with this is that the total savings, when you look at what he could have signed for and what he's signing for, when you take into account the first 3 years, I think you have to remove the player option year, and we're going to go into detail why. You're looking at roughly $37 million in savings over the first 3 years. That is significant. It's significant in a lot of different ways. When you look at all these restrictions on the second apron and how it has impacted certainly Denver. Basically, they didn't sign Kentavious Cole-Pope because they didn't want to go into the second apron. It would limited their roster building and restrictions. The Clippers, we can talk about the Clippers forever, didn't sign Paul George because of the apron restrictions. So what Brunson did was he said, I'm looking at our roster. I'm going to take $12 million less, basically on average, over the next 3 years. And what that's going to do is going to keep us under the second apron. It's going to be able to let us keep Mikal Bridges, who's extension eligible, 2 for $60 this offseason, up on October 1st. And then he can extend, I think, 4 for $113 the following offseason. It's going to let us keep Bridges. We'll see what happens with Julius Randle. That's kind of the big wild card here. Randle's eligible for 3 for, I think it's 160, somewhere in that range. In mid, I don't have the date right in front of me. In mid July here, I think it's the 18th. Maybe that's Embiid. I got so many dates going on. And New York, especially when they've given up 4 unprotected first, they gave up the Milwaukee first. Their draft assets are limited as far as how they're going to be able to add to their roster. They do have 2 first-round picks from the Wizards and Detroit. Likely, those picks never convey, and they turn into seconds. So when you're building out your depth, you need your tax mid-level exception at $5.2 million. You need to bring back Mikal Bridges on a new contract. You already have Josh Hart, who's going into year 1 of that extension. You also have Dante DiVincenzo, who's going into year 2 of that non-tax mid-level exception. OG Anunoby signed for a 5-year, $212 million number. That he's the highest paid player on the roster at $36 million. You have to have everybody compromise and take a sacrifice. Now, That's not for everyone, right? I'm not going to stand on my bandbox and say that every player should go out and take a discount and for the betterment of the team. It's at the own player's preference, right? If Jalen Brunson looks at this roster, and Woj had a great line in his article, is that Brunson has studied what happened in New England with Tom Brady. When Tom Brady, and football contracts are a lot different than NBA contracts. Football contracts get restructured. NBA contracts are basically, you got to play out the life of it, or you get an extension, or you can decline. There's a lot of different variables here. But what Brunson did was he looked at all these different players, whether it be Tom Brady in New England, whether it be Kevin Durant in 2027, when Durant took $10 million less and Golden State was able to get re-signed Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala. And he looked at it and he said, for the betterment for the next 3 years, so this would be 25, 26, 26, 27, and 27, 28, I am going to give back $37 million. So we can bring back Mikal Bridges, so we can build out our roster in free agency and not have our pick frozen in 2033, for example, here. And I give him a lot of credit, and I think Knicks fans should give him a lot of credit. Here's the trade-off, though. Okay, now there's always a trade-off, though. Brunson's got a player option in that 4th year. That 4th year is when he will have 10 years of service. So what will likely happen, and if Brunson stays healthy and he continues playing at a high level, the likelihood is that New York and Brunson going into that the summer of the off, going into that 3rd year, would likely extend. They would hit the anniversary, basically what we're doing right now. But because he's at 10 years of service, it's at 35% of the cap. The number is a whopper. It's 4 years, $323 million. So although the discount is the first 3 years right now, as this salary cap grows 10%, the number for Brunson will grow significantly here. And that's why the player option is in that 4th year, because that 4th year is when he has 10 years of service. So I don't want to say this is an historic moment, but it is a trend we might be able to see moving forward, where some of these higher paid guys, and they're looking at rosters and they're trying to win a championship, are saying, give me 5 pieces of pizza instead of 8 pieces of pizza. I'm going to be full. And those other 3 pieces of pizza, I know I'm using a lot of pizza analogies, are going to able to go out and get us, make the roster improve. Maybe we can go out and make a trade. I mean, the apron restrictions are, excuse my word, a bear. The inability to acquire players in trades, you're so limited as far as how you build your roster outside of your own. And now this gives New York certainly plenty of flexibility moving forward. So that's an 8-minute video on Jalen Brunson. 4 years, $156.5, player option in the last year. Savings $37 million over the next 3 years, starting in 2025-26. Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Keep them going, try to wear, pull up all brains. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA, I'm a